It would be historic if it was Port Vale that came through on the night. But for Chelsea, you know, after the difficult times, we were chatting about this before. 4 games in a row they've lost, but they've been bad losses. You know, 5-2 over in Paris, then 3-0 here, an 8-2 overall loss. And then they got up to Everton, they get beat 3-0 there. They lost 1-0 down here against Newcastle. This is a big run. This is a big problem. They need to sort it out. The fortunate thing is, it's absolutely in Chelsea's hands now. They could find themselves at the end of today in the semi-final of a major competition and still on the edge of getting into the Europe or Champions League positions as well. So it's all not all doom and gloom, but it will be if they don't win today.
They break from the huddles, the 2 sets of players. Chelsea in their blue shirts, blue shorts and white socks, and Port Vale in their home strip, white shirts, black shorts and black socks. It's their 150th year anniversary kit, no sponsor on it, and it's the PVFC diagonally in gold down it. I can see some tin-foil FA Cups glinting in the away end. And in a world of Uniteds and Cities, there is only one Vale. There's one of the flags hung there. They're most of them on their feet, the Port Vale fans, and we are underway, and they will get the first touch of the ball and swing the ball to the right-hand side and win a first contact, and Port Vale have possession midway inside the Chelsea half. Now they've got it on the lip of the centre circle with their number 5 Connor Hall, and they're keeping the ball early in this game. They won't have much of it through the game, you wouldn't think. And they've given it away early, and Chelsea are away down the right-hand side, and they've got loads and loads of space. It's with Neto on his left foot, cuts it inside to Cole Palmer, 20 yards from goal. Now in the penalty area, Neto again. Little flick, Gusto on the overlap, cross, deflected, corner, early. And Port Vale really committed pen forward there early, Pat. I'm surprised at that.
Don't do that again. Oh, I could not believe it. They got the kick off, they played it long. But everyone charged forward and they didn't leave anyone back with the left 2 back. You cannot do that at this level.
Corner for Chelsea then. I'll run you through the lineups in just a moment. 5 live from the BBC. In it comes, left-footed, headed up in the air and away and in. And Chelsea are ahead. It's the worst possible start for Port Vale. And Jorrel Harto has scored for Chelsea from a corner within the first 2 minutes. Chelsea 1, Port Vale 0.
Yeah, it was a brown ball into the near post, and there's a number of players that were going for it there. Hato was in there, as you say, but it fell there and he caught it well. But it was mayhem because of the ball put into the near post, put in with real power, a little bit of spin, and they caused their own problems in giving that away, Port Vale, but a little bit unlucky. Keeper done well to actually punch it out in the first position, but Hato was calm there, kept it down, 1-0. Chelsea fans can breathe.
Got 2 punches on it. Did Gauci for Port Vale. It was a Port Vale head that he punched it against. It just looped up in the air, a second punch, and it dropped nicely for Harto, and he volleyed it home. The Dutchman, 20 years of age, and Chelsea have a very, very good start inside the 2 minutes, first 2 minutes. Chelsea are ahead, and Port Vale have got it all to do, but they do have possession. Edge of the Chelsea penalty area. And they're in possession now, and a shot from distance fizzes wide. Comes in from Ojo, and it's behind for a goal kick for Chelsea. You've got Robert Sanchez in goal, then Gusto, Fofana, Adrabayo and Harto, the back 4, Santos and Lavia in front of them, then Estevao and Neto wide, Cole Palmer in the 10, and then Joao Pedro up front. It's a strong lineup, that, Pat, isn't it?
Yeah, particularly in the attacking side of the field. I do love, I'm biased, and I own up to it. I love watching Estevao playing. I think he's a fabulous footballer, beautiful on the ball, and now that his team is 1-0 up, if he can get the ball in last third, we might see some very special things from him and the likes of Cole Palmer, as you say, up front.
Yeah, the 18-year-old Brazilian, signed from Palmeiras, got 2 Premier League goals this season. Chelsea in possession, 10 yards inside the Port Vale half, right-hand side. Here's Neto running forward, 2 step overs, Gusto on the overlap, big chance, Palmer, cleared away, still not completely clear by Vale. They put a high ball to the edge of their own penalty area. Chelsea looking like they could score at will coming forward, and that's because Port Vale have really been struggling.
That's actually quite frightening if you're a Vale fan, or indeed a Vale player, because Chelsea forward line look up for it, far too open at the back, Port Vale at the moment. I didn't expect them to play this way. I expected the 5-4-1, which you talked about before, soak up a little bit of pressure. But they've been far too open right at the start of the game here. And that Chelsea, that forward line, as you say, every time they attack, they look as if they can score.
Joe Gauci in goal, the Australian. And then it's John, Humphreys and Hall, the three centre-backs who played there in the game against Sunderland when they won 1-0 in the last round, as Chelsea come forward down the right with Neto, who checks, goes back inside to Lavia. And now Santos, and they're just knocking it about at the back at the moment. And then they've got wing-backs, Liam Gordon and Jordan Gabriel, who also played against Sunderland. Ojo, 34-year-old, started his career at PSV Eindhoven, in there with Ben Garrity, who's back. He wasn't there for the Sunderland game. He's the captain, the number 8, as Chelsea come forward down the left-hand side. It's with Esteval, plays it inside. Lavia, Palmer, good football. Joao Pedro just knocking it about first time at the moment, midway inside the Port Vale half, centre field, and now they get the width through Pedro on the right-hand side. On his left foot, thinks about a cross, step over, goes to the byline, whips it in right-footed, headed away to the edge of the penalty area by Port Vale, and they might well be able to let this one go behind. They have for a goal kick. And then they've got Sharif, who's on loan from Everton, up front, 19 years of age, Dutchman, playing alongside Ben Waine, who has scored the winner in 3 of the rounds of the FA Cup so far. The 2nd, the 4th and the 5th. The last one coming against Sunderland, of course, with the Alan Shearer celebration in front of the Sunderland fans. And Alan Shearer actually sent him a good luck message.
I noticed that
this week.
It's in the BBC website. He would love to get more opportunities today, but it is going to be very, very tough from the way it's going just now, because certainly both wingers are looking strong for Chelsea. But one very interesting thing is where Cole Palmer's playing in the 10 position. Doesn't always do that for Chelsea. I think that's a much better suited role for Cole Palmer, so we'll keep an eye on him today, finding some very good positions already.
Ben Waine gets a touch for Port Vale, but then they lose possession. His pass is just misguided, and Chelsea have possession on the far side. Sliding challenge from Ben Waine on Neto, comes off Waine, goes out for a throw-in to Chelsea on the right-hand side. Chelsea kicking from right to left as we look at it, from this main stand towards the shed end, towards those Port Vale supporters who've got that whole end, 6,000 of them, with the safe standing. And that will have been the start that they dreaded. They trail by a goal to 0, 6 minutes gone, 5 live. It's good hustle from Sharif, putting Chelsea under a little bit of pressure, but they didn't quite press together there, Port Vale, and Chelsea are in possession midway inside their own half. First meeting since 1929 then, between these two. It's 97 years. It was when they were in the old Division 2. In fact, all of their meetings, 14 of them were in Division 2 between 1905 and 1929. And they've never met in any competition since, as Port Vale give the ball away. And Chelsea are in possession on the halfway line. Now it's with Palmer, 10 yards inside the Port Vale half. Gives it to Esteval, lovely first touch. And he's running at the Port Vale defence. Palmer on the overlap, hits a cross, is blocked. They've done really well there to block that cross. Port Vale, and then a foul and a free kick to Vale inside their own penalty area. 7 minutes gone, 1-0 Chelsea.
Yeah, very noticeable about the Vale players. Well done them. I'm trying to put it delicately, they're putting a few tackles in. All right, there's a couple of, it's not roughhousing, but they're making sure that Chelsea midfield know they're there. And they're quite rough. And in the FA Cup, you get away with a little bit more, and the referees understand, particularly if you're the smaller team, you get away with that a little bit more. But I can see 1 or 2 of the Chelsea players, Esteval, Cole Palmer, are looking at the referees and say, are they getting away with that? The answer is yes, lads, it's the FA Cup.
And there's a strong challenge from Joao Pedro, who did look wound up there, the Brazilian. And it's a free kick to Port Vale midway inside their own half. Joao Pedro played against France and Croatia for Brazil in the international break.
And one of them was a very late kick-off. The last one was 1 a.m. I mean, quite incredible that players can come back and be as lively as they look.
Kick launched long by Gauci, who's in green with orange flashes. Ball bounces on the halfway line, and that's a foul by Cameron Humphreys of Port Vale. It's a free kick and a bang on the head for Joao Pedro. about 5 yards inside the Chelsea half. First ever meeting in the FA Cup between these two. And Port Vale have never won at Stamford Bridge.
It's a bit of a nightmare for all your stats, isn't it? Because you want to give some stats out about the previous ones, but what you gave before, the fact that all those games were second division, and they were all 100 years ago.
It's amazing that they haven't drawn each other, you know, in the 97 years since, in something. It's just, yeah.
I mean, it's great for the Vale fans getting all this distance in the game, and they're trying to wind up the Chelsea fans a little bit by singing "Is This a Library" here. They're enjoying the day out so far, apart from the goal.
Neto's got some space on the far side for Chelsea. Puts a little pass inside. Chelsea on the right, dispossessed. And they should let this roll out for a goal kick to Port Vale. Did well there, Connor Hawke on the far side. And goal kick for Port Vale. My favourite one, Phil Sherwin, is the Port Vale historian, who said, well, there's some good omens for this one, John. He said, well, the last time we played in London on the day of the boat race was 1987, and we beat Fulham 6-0.
Wow.
At the Cottage.
Very
And that's their
nice.
biggest ever away win, which they could only match if they score 7 now.
Yeah. You have to look for the positives, yes, absolutely. Actually, do you know, the last 3 or 4 minutes, it's calmed down a little bit. You know, that first 4 or 5, you were right, it looked as if they could be shredded. But they've had a few minutes now where they've calmed down, they've got used to it a little bit better.
Sharif's a handful, and he's won a first contact, a header, and he's got possession of the ball, back to goal on the right-hand side. Gets it inside. Here's a shot, Wayne. I thought might gamble on that and just stretch out a leg, but he didn't. It was a shot from Reece Walters, and he's dragged it wide. There's some little pockets of space there for Port Vale.
Yeah, just what I was saying. They're just growing into it a little bit just now. And it wasn't a half chance, it was the chance of a half chance. So, you know, so it's not quite there yet, but you can see a little bit more belief going through the team. The shock of that first goal is beginning to sort of release a wee bit from them, and they're trying to play themselves into the game, Port Vale.
Chelsea are in possession with Esteval on the halfway line. Compression top on. They've been in sunnier climes than this. Actually bumped into some Chelsea fans from Hawaii on the way into the ground, and they were really wrapped up. I said, this is warm. Scarves, bobble hats, teeth chattering. He said, it's not like this in Hawaii.
Try Scotland, champs. And oddly, yeah, you do see that at Chelsea. The people I talked to before the game were from California and LA. And so one thing about Chelsea, they don't struggle to get fans here from all over the world.
Ball over the top for Neto is headed away by Port Vale. By Hall, out for a throw into Chelsea on the right-hand side. They lead 1-0 Chelsea after 11 minutes. 5 Live and BBC World Service. Chelsea take the throw in, but it's all the way back to the halfway line. FA Cup quarter-final action on 5 Live. 62 places between these two, and Chelsea really in need, as Pat said before the game, of not just a victory but a good win. A 3-4 as they give the ball away, and whistles of derision from the 6,000 Port Vale fans, and it's a throw in to Port Vale on the far side. Winners 8 times, of course, Chelsea, the last in 2018, but lost 4 in a row and have not scored in their last 3, Pat.
Yeah, and again, watching it very, very closely, there seemed to be something very badly missing, and it was levels of effort. You know, the intensity that Chelsea showed in the first 5 minutes there, you just didn't see that in those games, you know, for most of them, apart from the first leg against PSG, where it wasn't bad at all. But at the moment, the least you can give is all your effort. That's the least you must give if you're Chelsea Football Club just now.
And Chelsea in possession inside their own half. Sharif's looked a handful so far as the ball's played through the middle. Gauchi comes out and with a good first touch helps it inside, and Port Vale have got possession and then look up, and just you feel there for a moment they don't really know how to get out. Sharif looks like, for me, the one, if they're going to get some relief. 6'3", on loan from Everton. He's a big old unit. I think he might be the one they've got to try and say, look, you're going to need to hold the ball for us here.
Yeah, and I think that's the reason why Tosin is playing today. because you're talking of the various centre-backs that Chelsea have got, and they've got a few injuries just now, but he's the most physical centre-back they've got at the moment since Disaster left, so bring him in and he'll have the battle alongside Sharif, and then you just see Fofana, he'll cover up, and cover around the back, and so far that's what's generally happened. If you're Sharif, you should try and play in Fofana. I'm not saying he's a bad player, but he's not quite the same physical specimen.
Camera zooms in on the Australian manager for Port Vale, John Brady. Didn't quite get the bounce he wanted after the Sunderland game. They only won one game in the last 6 since that, and they really are rooted to the bottom. After yesterday's results, they're now 15 points adrift of safety. After tomorrow, or after Monday I should say, they will have some games in hand, but from nowhere they're going to almost need to win them all. The ball's played down the line, and Gabriel got a little nudge in the back there, and it's going to be a free kick for Port Vale, and these are the positions. This is midway inside the Chelsea half, right-hand touchline, where you swing it in and hope for a bounce of the ball.
I think in FA Cup parlance it is get it in the mixer, and that's exactly what they're going to do just now. The big guns have come up. They've got 3 centre-backs, and their 2 wing-backs are generally not the smallest either, so they're going to put the ball in there and go and ask a few questions, and it's all about the delivery now. It's actually not the easiest place to put the ball in. If they can put it between the centre-backs, and it's quite a high line that Chelsea have played there, and Sanchez is always keen to come out, but he doesn't always get it right.
Cameron Humphreys is going to take this for Port Vale. He's nudged it off the magic spray, the line, and Cole Palmer's saying, hey, he's not got it on the line. But I don't think Cole Palmer's 10 yards, so the referee's come over to sort this out.
It's supposed to be behind the line. He's still not got it behind the line.
It's Farai Hallam, the referee today, who's just saying, come on now. And then he jogs away to inspect the pushing and shoving on the edge of the D. High line, as Pat said, from Chelsea. Humphreys is going to swing it in. It's good delivery, in it goes, and I think a Port Vale head got there, but it was headed wide by Connor Hall. It was good delivery, that, and not a bad effort.
It's interesting the delivery put on it, because usually from there you curl the ball, so you curl it into an area where it's curling away from the goalkeeper and towards your strikers, but he didn't. He zipped it like my 6-iron. Yeah, right. I want my 6-iron to go, but he did. He zipped it in, and it was a hard one to deal with. But they managed to get away with it, Chelsea. But certainly John Brady and his team will be much heartened by this so far. And the last 5 or so minutes, they've not been in top of the game by any manner of means, but they're at the races now.
I'd have topped my 6-iron, so don't see many free kicks that are topped. Chelsea play a ball through the channels looking for Joao Pedro, and I thought he might have just crept offside, and ironic cheers from the Port Vale fans who've just belted out their anthem, The Wonder of You. And the ball's behind for it's a free kick for Port Vale, level with the edge of their own penalty area, and Chelsea lead by 1-0, and we've had 17 minutes of the game. Chelsea have got a really good record against teams from below them in the table, outside of the top tier. They've progressed from 64 of 66 ties against non-Premier League teams. Barnsley in 08, they lost that one. And some hope for Port Vale fans potentially listening is that Bradford were 2-0 down here, you might remember, in 2015, and came back to win 4-2. That was extraordinary. I remember watching that one.
I was at both of those games, actually. And the reason being, you don't always remember every game that you go to see, but you remember them because they were extraordinary upsets.
Sharif wins a little flick there, but there's no one to flick it on to. He's won a lot of those up there, as Martin Sharif. He was at Rotherham on loan last season. He's got 3 goals in League One, and they just haven't had that bounce that John Brady was hoping for when he came in for Darren Moore. Just talking to a few of the supporters, saying they didn't quite, in their view, get the recruitment right under Darren Moore, and in their view some of them maybe held on a little bit longer than they should have done to get John Brady in, who was at Northampton, and that's their reason for the fact that they've had a pretty miserable season. Apart from the cup runs, they've actually won more games in the cups this season than they have in the league.
That's the sort of statistic that a Vale fan doesn't want to hear at the moment. But it's a good, they'd certainly lost a bit of confidence in the part of the season. Then they had that a little bit of a lift when John Brady came in, but as you say, maybe the cup is maybe taking too much of their thoughts, and it can do that with a team. You think, oh, we're having a good cup run, but put everything else to the back of their mind. They've put a very strong team out, as strong as about I think they can go today. They've also got 1 or 2 players on the bench, and I think that's what John Brady's thinking just now. 1-0 down, just about creeping towards 20 minutes. Do you know, if it's still 1-0 at 20 minutes to go, he's got a few options he can bring on from the bench and have a bit more of a go, and I think that might have been part of the game plan.
Well, the one real choice and the sort of 50-50 shout for him today was, does he play Sharif or Jayden Stockley? And Jayden Stockley is on the bench for Port Vale, so as you mentioned, there is an option there, and they've got possession now, and that's a bad tackle actually, and there's a free kick here for Port Vale. Andre Santos went flying in and caught his man late, and well, no yellow card, and it's a free kick to Port Vale, 15 yards inside the Chelsea half centre field. I think he's lucky to get away with that.
Yeah, I can hear it from your voice now. I'm in complete agreement with you. That's a Premier League yellow card, but not an FA Cup yellow card.
I agree.
It's one of those ones, and we know there's not supposed to be different rules, and every referee will tell you there isn't, but there is, you know. Sometimes it's just looked at, oh, complaining about it, everybody understands it, everyone gets it, and Santos has got a little bit lucky there.
It's maybe a bit straight, really, this free kick, to put it into a good area. It was floated in to the Chelsea penalty area. Chelsea win the header, and there's an offside flag gone up, and that is a little sloppy. So they were offside from the free kick there, Port Vale, and they can't afford little mistakes like that. They've got to make the most of every single set piece they get. 20 minutes gone, and it's Chelsea 1, Port Vale 0 on BBC World Service on 5 Live, and I'm alongside former Chelsea winger Pat Nevin.
Yeah, and it's interesting to listen to 2 sets of fans, isn't it? Because the Vale fans are singing, they're enjoying it. Chelsea fans are thinking, well, to borrow a phrase from an old Port Vale fan, they're saying, let me entertain you. And that's what they're waiting for just now, and they've not had a lot of it in these last 10 minutes or so.
Well, the Port Vale fans weren't happy for a period of time because Robbie Williams had a box here at Chelsea, and at the time wasn't going to watch Port Vale, and Port Vale are his love, you know, they really are, and he will be watching this or listening to it today, so hello Robbie Williams if you are listening to this. Chelsea 1, Port Vale 0, and Chelsea in possession midway inside the Port Vale half on the right hand side. Santos and Lavia seeing a lot of the ball, and Adrabayo. And now on the left-hand side, Hartone, who scored the goal. Took it very well. I don't quite know what happened with the goalkeeper after he hit it, and defenders, maybe unsighted, went through very easily. Here's Cole Palmer. Palmer on his left foot, thinks about a shot, and his pass is under hit, but it does find Estevao, left-hand side, dancing feet, trying to go around Gabriel, and the ball is out. It's a goal kick for Port Vale. Did very well there, Jordan Gabriel, 27-year-old, former Blackpool wing-back.
Welcome to no-nonsense defending English Championship style. But it's funny, Estevao, I mean, he's a beautiful player, and I talked about him at the start, loved watching him play. But I'm not sure how much he's had of that over his very young career, that you're going to get some pretty tough tackling, there's no messing about. They're not going to stand off you and be over-respectful for you. They're going to get in there, then they're going to rough you up a little bit. And oddly enough, the young boy from Brazil, he's not made an attempt to go by his defender yet, has he? I don't think he has once.
No. Port Vale have got possession with Ben Waine, who chests it down, bounces, he's got company, and it's gone out for a throw-in midway inside the Chelsea half on the right-hand side. They've made history, whatever happens this season, Port Vale. A first quarter-final in 72 years. It was quite the run back then. They knocked out the holders Blackpool on their last run to this stage, and Sir Stanley Matthews, the cup holders 1953, was in that Blackpool lineup.
Slightly changed days, I think. Yeah. Slightly changed days, but Sir Stan was the man.
Yeah, later went on to manage Port Vale, Sir Stanley Matthews, which you might not know. Chelsea in possession. 15 yards inside the Vale half, left-hand side. 1-0 they lead.
it's strange watching him. He's done it again, Esteval.
Yeah, giving the ball away again. Oh, lovely feet. Really good from Reece Walters, running forward and goes down under a challenge. No free kick. And you can tell he's just berated himself there, Reece Walters, because he did all the hard work, won the ball, went on a really good run, and then lost possession, and Chelsea have got it back with slow possession. Cole Palmer on the halfway line, crowded out of it. Chelsea have kept hold of the ball, but have had to go back to Adrabayo. Now they've got it on the right with Neto, who's looked dangerous so far. On the right for Chelsea, cutting inside the Portuguese. Now the ball's with Andre Santos. Now Neto again, and now with Gusto on the overlap right-hand side. He got back quite late from his international matches. Played 89 minutes versus Brazil for France in the States, in Massachusetts. Ball chipped over the top by Andre Santos, looking for Neto. Neto to the byline, puts the ball back across. João Pedro, goal! 2-0 Chelsea. Took his time. The Vale unpicked again, and Chelsea look like they're heading for a Wembley semi-final in the FA Cup, and Port Vale surely can't come back from here. It's Chelsea 2, Port Vale 0.
Well, first of all, well done Neto on the far side there. Very much second favourite to go into that ball. The ball was played down, but he just kept on chasing. He was a pest. That's the best way to describe him. And when he got on the ball, he went to the byline and he found João Pedro in the middle. And when he found João Pedro's movement was brilliant. It's a little dummy. He doesn't shoot first time. He's got his back to goal, turns on it, goes to shoot, and of course the defender has to dive. And as soon as the defender dives, he's got the whole goal to pass the ball into. That's top quality striking there from João Pedro. They might have a look at it to see if there's any foul, but I don't think there was a foul in the build-up there, and it's a goal.
Yeah, goal stands. There is VAR here, obviously. Liam Gordon made a bit of a mess of it with Pedro Neto on the right-hand side, and that led him in. And then the goalkeeper, Joe Gauci, just decided I'm just gonna guess that he's gonna go to my left, and he made his way across the goal early, and then João Pedro just looked up and helped it into an unguarded side of the net.
And he's probably the liveliest player that Chelsea have had so far. Neto on that right-hand side, very direct, very up for it. He's put under a little bit of pressure this season, Neto, because obviously they buy Esteval. There's other players that can play wide. You know, they've got Garnacho they can go to as well. So, Neto's, he can't rest in his laurels in any way, and he hasn't done that. And he's actually shown this game and this competition the respect it deserves.
Yeah, he's a 100%er, isn't he? And I like him in an interview as well. Pedro Neto is screaming for the ball on the right-hand touchline at the moment, and he's got it, and he's played a really nice ball on the overlap to Gusto, puts in an early ball, and it's well defended and put behind by Cameron Humphreys, who throws his arms up and says to Liam Gordon, you're getting absolutely skinned on that far side. And now there's an inquest going on amongst the Port Vale players in the penalty area.
It's one of the tough things when you play five at the back. If you've a wing back and a wide centre back, one of them has to do the full back job. Sometimes neither does. When that happens, you can be shredded, and that's what's happening on the right hand side now with Chelsea.
Corner for Chelsea on the far side, left-footed in-swinger. Sharif wins a good header, and I think he's hurt himself here, and I think there's been a clash of heads in the penalty area, and on rush the medical teams for both Chelsea and Port Vale, and I hope both are all right, because that looked like a nasty bang. I'm just trying to see the Chelsea player who's down pat, actually, and it is it's Santos, isn't it?
Yes, I think it is Santos. The other thing about it was, do you know when players go down, and it's very, very common you see players go down holding their heads and their faces these days, and you know there's nothing really much wrong, but you knew immediately there that was a sore one, and the reaction of the players. And it's one of those challenges. I've just seen a replay of it there. They're not looking at each other, so what they haven't done, they haven't taken away any of the power, because they're not looking at each other, going straight into each other. And he's quite a bit of pain there. Funnily enough, I think Andre Santos, his is in his forehead, so that's not the worst place to get it. That's probably the one place, if you're going to get a head knock, that's kind of where you want it. But there's not been a lot of movement from the Port Vale player.
I've just seen he's had his head in his hands, sort of with his face in the turf,
I don't think he's knocked out.
He has just looked up and talked to the medical team, but he hasn't moved from a position where he's lying on the ground face down. So he's in a lot of pain, you can tell. Yeah. And I think he's just said to them, "Is it bleeding?" And now he's up on his feet, I'm pleased to tell you. And it doesn't look like he is bleeding, which is good.
And sometimes if it's the side of your face, because I think he's holding the side of his face a little bit. I've done the compressed fracture of the cheekbone one myself, and that's not a pleasant one. So he's not got that, and that's good. Do you know that one? Have you heard that one before?
I've seen it in cricket. I've seen someone's cheekbone slide under their sinuses, and they've had to have all mesh put in and all sorts of things. Yeah.
I actually put my hand to the side of my face, and there was no face there.
It was just sunk.
Yeah, just sunk, all gone. And I remember saying to the manager, "I'll be okay," and he went, "No, you won't."
Which side was it?
That side, right hand side.
Oh, I can see it. Yeah, I can see it.
You can, it's fine.
Free kick then for Port Vale after that clash of heads. They trail 2-0 at Stamford Bridge, and we've had half an hour, and you're listening to 5 Live and BBC World Service, live on the BBC Sport website as well. You get your internet in the UK.
By the way, you were talking there about the injuries. Here's a secret for all the listeners in the UK and around the world. See, when former footballers meet up, they don't immediately talk about the great old games they played against each other. Talk about their injuries. That's what they talk about first.
Port Vale have got a throw in here, midway inside the Chelsea half, right-hand side, and Sharif is okay. He's going to come back on, but after this long throw, in it comes, looping and headed behind, in a corner for Port Vale, their first of the game, and you can hear their fans who've had a pretty miserable first half an hour suddenly think, hello, could we get one? At this point you're thinking, A, can we score if you're those Port Vale fans, and 2, please don't let it be, you know, a Manchester City 10, Exeter City 1 that we saw earlier this season.
You know, I would say in the first 5 minutes that must have crossed every Port Vale fan's mind. Maybe in the 25 minutes since then it hasn't looked that bad, but you know, when Chelsea attack, they've got such quality they could score at any time.
Port Vale corner, left-footed, doesn't beat the first defender, but Vale have possession with Ben Waine, who's made a mess of his ball with the left foot, and Neto is away down the right-hand side. He showed too much of it though to Walters, who's put it behind, or put it out for a throw-in on the halfway line on the right-hand side. He just found himself some space there, Ben Waine, didn't he? And just got it all wrong.
He did, and it's a real shame. It's one of those ones you will only get half a second at this level, and you have to get it under control. It has to roll for you. You have to get it on target. You have to do everything right, because A, it's only going to last half a second, and B, there ain't going to be many of them, of those sort of chances you would think for Port Vale.
Just to give you an idea of how much they're struggling in League One, they lost their last game at Wickham 4-0, Port Vale, and just the one win since the victory over Sunderland, where they were excellent. They worked hard, they were well organised, and John Brady has said several times that the most frustrating thing for him is that they can play like that as Sharif gives away a free kick, and we are going to see a yellow card, I think, here for Sharif. Yeah, yellow card for a late tackle. Don't think there was an awful lot different to the one earlier on with Chelsea.
Can I beg to differ a wee bit?
Do you think?
Yes.
He was later?
Yeah, you know what you're doing there. You go with your studs up. It's the studs up to the front. I don't actually think Fofana's particularly badly injured there. I don't think he's caught him very badly. But if you go off the ground and your studs are showing that clearly, it's a thing that certainly pros at the top level, you hate that.
Yep.
Because you know if you're caught with that, you can break your ankle, break your leg, it can put you out for, you know, half a season.
Yeah, I said that before I'd seen the replay, and you're right.
Studs up. Don't like it.
Free kick.
Been on the end of a few of them.
I bet there wasn't yellow cards then either.
You get a stern warning if you come up and hit someone in your face with a punch.
I used to say when you used to play Sunday League, someone had to be punched in the face and then go down for you to get sent off in Sunday League football. Chelsea in possession, midway inside their own half, and there are just a few late tackles being left on a few out there at the moment as Cole Palmer's in possession. They've done well through Humphreys to dispossess him, and Garrity, the captain for Port Vale, actually has some controlled possession. They'll swing the ball out to the right-hand side to Gabriel, who is stumped to the ground and is holding his lower back after Andre Santos comes across and wins the header, but inadvertently, I think maybe a knee into the lower back of Gabriel.
Yeah, I don't even think it's a foul. It's just a coming together. And that was a sore one. I think he may have twisted as he went down as well. The ball was zipped in there and he's gone back. It will hurt a little bit, that one. But if he's twisted it, it could be a bad one. And he might have to have some treatment. He doesn't want it yet.
It's a knee,
but
isn't it?
He's lying in that position there. The referee's going to have to let the physio come on. The physio's not making any great attempt to come in. I mean, I don't think that's an act.
No, that looks sore. It was he was running at full pelt, was Andre Santos, and his left knee went into the kidney area of Gabriel, who is now up on his feet.
Can I say well done, referee? Because he said it's not that bad, get up.
In comes the long throw for Port Vale, headed away by Chelsea. Only as far as Liam Gordon, who's the furthest one back for Port Vale. Now Walters on the left-hand side with low socks and his plaits bouncing on his shoulders. Gordon, halfway line for Port Vale. It's about the most composed possession they've had in the game since the first 30 seconds when they committed players forward, got caught, and got left somehow with two at the back, conceded a corner and conceded a goal. And now the olays are going up from the Port Vale fans because they've actually got possession in their own half for the first time, and we must have seen a dozen or so passes strung together, and they're still going. Port Vale in possession inside their own half, with Chelsea ready to spring the press. I think they're going to be forced into going long here, and they will, high, and Adrabayo wins the header. Garrity's across in a 50-50 challenge with Lavia, and Lavia's gone down, clutching his shins, and Port Vale are still in possession, 5 yards inside their own half, with Ojo to Gordon, and you'll hear the fans saying we need some treatment here, but meanwhile Port Vale have moved the ball up the pitch to Gordon.
I like it the referee's playing on. It's absolutely fine, and I particularly like it the Vale are playing on. It's not your place to put it out. The rules aren't, the referee decides.
Kyle John, Gabriel fouled, and a free kick to Port Vale 10 yards inside the Chelsea half, and now there'll be some attention as the boos ring round Stamford Bridge. Right,
well, how long has he been down for? 30 seconds or so? 40 seconds? If it's that bad an injury he's down, the physios must come on. So they are coming on now, and we'll need to go off the field. And it is one of those ones where you're thinking, if the referee's got it wrong, he'll be really embarrassed. And you look at him now, he's not moving a lot. I can't tell you. I think there's a touch. I'm not convinced it's a foul. I really don't think it's a foul.
I don't think it's a foul, but it's one of those
contact. There's some contact, but it's not a foul.
The bottom of his foot has kicked the top of Ben Garrity's foot. So, yeah, I mean...
Carry on. I don't think he's badly injured. I think he'll be back on here in 30 seconds. And you're a big, strong midfield. Look, they're not on the pitch. We can't tell the level of pain he's in there, but to be fair, do you know what? Here we are. I think he might have slightly twisted his right foot as he landed on it.
Okay.
So it's nothing got to do with the tackle. So the referee was right. It was not a foul.
Romeo Lavia makes his way off the pitch, and the wonder of you belts out, and Port Vale have a free kick and a header one at the far post. Sharif goes up for a header. Back in from Port Vale into the penalty area, stabbed away by Chelsea, and now they might well break, but they've given the ball away, and Port Vale have got it with Humphreys on the halfway line, who does well and helps it back to his goalkeeper Gauchi on loan from Aston Villa, who spins a high ball forward. Header won by Chelsea. Garrity flicks on. Sharif, Wayne, can he hold the ball up? Trying to spin away from Gusto, now goes down Ben Wayne. I didn't see what quite happened. He got a shoulder barge.
Phraseology is a coming together.
Yeah.
Not more than that. Do you know what? I'm liking this referee. I'm liking him a lot. He said, no, just get on with it. Two players that roll about and there's nothing much wrong with them, they stop it after a while when they've got a referee like this. He said, there's no point in doing it. I'm not getting anything from it. So I'm actually very impressed with the referee today.
Chelsea 2, Port Vale 0, FA Cup, live on the BBC. Chelsea in possession, but they've given it away, and that's a good interception by John, but he's run into trouble, and Chelsea have got possession back with Cole Palmer wearing the captain's armband for the first time this afternoon. We've got a bit of milky hazy sunshine coming through the glass above us in this main stand and onto the pitch. It's quite a mild afternoon, and Chelsea are in possession on the right with Neto, who's looked their biggest threat every time they've gone down the right. In fact, they've looked dangerous so far. Up against Liam Gordon, has to check and go back this time, and Lavia's back on the pitch and fires one, deflected wide and kept in. He's done well there, the goalkeeper Joe Gauci, the 25-year-old Australian, and he's kept the ball in and kept possession for his team. Got 6 minutes to half time. Chelsea lead 2-0.
Maybe the biggest disappointment for Port Vale is after a nice start, you've not got much out of Esteval. Cole Palmer really not getting into the game at all. He's playing in that 10 position, but he's not playing it particularly well at the moment because he's static in there. When you play the 10 position, the real secret is you arrive in that position when the ball arrives. You don't stand static in there.
Where do you think his best position is, Pat?
I think it is as a floating player, as a 10. But when he first did that, he kind of naturally went into the right position.
Joao Pedro stabs a forward ball through towards Esteval. He'd made a good run, but Port Vale intercept, and now Walters has got possession and helps the ball to the right to Gabriel, and across comes Lavia and puts the ball out, and it's a throw into Port Vale 5 yards inside their own half.
What you're asking me about Cole Palmer, I think is really interesting, because I've watched him a lot even before he came to Chelsea, and everything was on instinct. Absolutely everything was on instinct. He was arriving players, and I don't think he knew how he was arriving there, but what he never did was stay stationary in one position in that 10 position, because that's the easiest thing to mark. The real greats in that position don't do that. And he looks like a player who's been coached into, right, get the ball there and stay there. And that's not the right thing to do. It's exactly the wrong, even though the stats will tell you that's the best place to get the ball. Yeah, when you arrive at the same time as the ball, not when you're standing there static. And you have a look at it now, as I say this to you, just watch where he stands the whole time just now. Very central in that place. You leave the space there.
Sanchez all in orange in goal for Chelsea, gets a rare touch, and Chelsea are in possession deep in their own half. 4 minutes to half time. Chelsea leading by 2-0. 5 Live and BBC World Service. Adrabayo just a yard outside his own penalty area, looking for a forward ball. Port Vale are quite high. They've got 6-7 in the Chelsea half. Now they'll drop because Neto's got possession on the halfway line. Comes off Liam Gordon and out for a throw-in on the far side.
Nice and controlled now from Chelsea. You know, there's no need to rush it. You know, as soon as you get the second goal after Chelsea and you're at home, yeah, you just say, right, we've got the ball, we'll take it here, we'll enjoy it.
Here's Joao Pedro running through the middle. He's got Neto in loads of space on his right, and here's Gusto with the shot. Good save, follow-up goal. 3-0 Chelsea. Cole Palmer, instinct, right place, right time, and this cup tie is all over, and Chelsea are heading to Wembley for the semi-final, you would think. Chelsea 3, Port Vale 0.
Well, Palmer's got the goal, but let's be honest about it, Joao Pedro's brilliance was the reason why that was created. He makes a brilliant run beyond the two centre-backs, holds the ball up a little bit, does a little dummy, drags the entire defence towards him, and then slips the ball wide. At that point in time, he has basically shredded the entire Port Vale defence on his own. He takes two players out in the first movement, then draws them and slips the ball through. They're all over the place then. And by that time, Cole Palmer, all he's doing is being centre forward. He's then switching. And do you know when you get a 10 and a centre forward to switch with each other? That works brilliantly. And Joao Pedro is among the best. He's not Harry Kane, but other than Harry Kane, he's among the best at that.
Gusto was brilliant in that move. The little flick inside to Joao Pedro, and then the strike running sort of away from goal is very good. Keeper Gauci actually makes a decent save, tries to push it away, but it falls into the path of Cole Palmer, who reacted quickest. And
a very good goal, isn't it?
Lots to admire there.
Yeah, it's a very good goal. Earlier in the day, I watched an absolutely phenomenal goal in Manchester City against Liverpool down the right-hand side. I think it was Cherky, brilliant movement. It wasn't quite that level, but it wasn't far off at that one there. Just seen.
Port Vale have got possession with Rhys Walters, and it's out for a throw-in for Port Vale, and we've got 90 seconds plus added time to half-time, and Chelsea leading by 3-0. 5 Live and BBC World Service. Difficult one, really, because Port Vale have actually had a little go, haven't they? They've not stuck in a low block the whole way through this game and said, come and unpick us. They have actually been, I mean, probably to Chelsea's advantage, they've actually been higher up the pitch than you might expect for a team in their position.
Well, certainly the first and the third goals have been because of that. You know, they have pushed it a little bit and Chelsea have broken on them. And with the quality, in particular, I have to say, João Pedro, you know, his goal where he would, he's one of those centre forwards, when he's in front of the goal, he slows down, he doesn't speed up. And that's the real sign of an actual goal scorer.
Well, that was his 8th goal as a free kick. Lavia fouled. And it's going to be a free kick to Chelsea, 10 yards inside their own half. That was actually his 8th goal in 8 FA Cup appearances. So, like scoring in this competition, João Pedro, and his 19th in all competitions this season. He's had a good season. 2 minutes of added time at the end of the first half. Chelsea leading 3-0. I mean, it's difficult to know what to do in this situation if you're Port Vale, because you don't want it to be 6, 7, 8, do you?
No, you would hate that to happen, because, you know, you're working hard. You've basically, there have been brilliant moments when you've been up against some world-class players who know what to do in the final third, and that's what's destroyed you. And it could go that way if they're not very careful.
It's with Santos for Chelsea, midway inside the Port Vale half, centre field, Cole Palmer. Neto's got far too much space on the far side, corner of the penalty area, swings in across towards João Pedro. Header won by John for Port Vale, headed away only as far as Santos, back inside to Adrabayo. Lavia spreads the play out to Neto on the right, and at half-time Liam Rossini is going to be saying attack down the right with Neto, because they've got so much joy down that side, and as Pat mentioned earlier, very little down the left-hand side with Esteval so far, as Chelsea are in controlled possession. 45 seconds of added time at the end of the first half remaining. Brilliant from Gusto, great step over, puts a ball into the penalty area, partially cleared. Palmer trying to win it on the edge of the box, hacked away by Port Vale up towards halfway. Chelsea leading 3-0. Port Vale trying to get into the break with that scoreline as it is, but Chelsea pouring forward. Neto, Palmer, 40 yards from goal, on his left foot, stands on the ball, puts his studs on it twice. Gusto's looked really good down the right with Neto. Neto trying to go into the penalty area, goes down. Looked like a free kick for me, but the referee said no. And it's hacked away by Port Vale, and I think that'll be just about it.
Do you know, with the referee again, I have to tell you, John, I think he's done well in this game by not panicking.
Half-time whistle goes. Chelsea lead 3-0 at half-time. They scored after just a minute. A Port Vale forward push early in the game led to a breakaway from Chelsea and a corner, and then Harto from a bouncing ball after a punch from the goalkeeper smashed it home via a little deflection down the middle of the goal. And then the second from João Pedro in the 25th minute, a really nice finish, composed, as Pat said, slowed down in front of goal to finish. And then Cole Palmer, after the keeper's save from Gusto, sliding in to help it over the line from a couple of yards out. 3-0 Chelsea, and as far as Liam Rossini, a big relief, I would have thought.
Yeah, he can relax a little bit just now. He can maybe give a couple of players a rest, which was probably a decent thing for him to be able to do, especially those who have been in international duty. But, you know, the killer instinct in that last final third is a wee bit special, and the quality in the final third has been a bit special. Yeah, I think the two players that have shone way above everyone else is Pedro Neto and João Pedro. When they've got in that area, they light up, and so has Cole Palmer to some degree as well. This last 10 or 15 minutes, there is a bit of quality there, and they're turning on it in the final third. And you just hope, for Port Vale's sake, that they think 3, 4 maybe enough, because it could get worse.
Half-time, Chelsea 3, Port Vale 0.
John, Pat, thank you. So Chelsea look on course to join Manchester City in the men's FA Cup semi-finals. Remember, we've still got another FA Cup quarter-final commentary to bring you from 8 o'clock at St Mary's, Southampton against Arsenal. It's the first weekend of the County Championship. Kevin Howes is at Grace Road, but he can round up what's been happening up and down the land.
Yeah, just some of the matches. You can follow them all right now. Those are still being played. I'm afraid the weather's not been ideal everywhere in the 9 games on this opening weekend of the season. You can follow them on the BBC Sport website and app with the live commentaries and the text service. It's been really stormy here at Leicester, but the headlines around the country pretty much centre on bowlers taking 5 wickets. In Division 2, 43-year-old Sir James Anderson, England's leading Test wicket taker. First match of the season as skipper of Lancashire. 5 wickets for him today, away to Northamptonshire. Northants 215 for 9, trail Lancashire by 169 runs. They're off for bad light at the moment. Earlier, Ben Sanderson taking 5 wickets for the home side as well. Here in Division 1, Ollie Robinson and Henry Crocombe shared 5 wickets each for Sussex against the Division 1 newly promoted side Leicestershire. Robinson keen to add to his 20 Test caps for England, but as skipper of Sussex rightly gave the ball to the 24-year-old Crocombe to keep on taking his 5. One of Robinson's wickets he especially enjoyed, the Aussie Test opener Jake Weatherald. 83 the Australian was out for. Sussex in their second innings 119 for 2. That's a lead of 235 runs. Elsewhere, Division 1, the defending champions Notts away to Somerset. Dylan Pennington, another 5 wickets there for Pennington this time. Somerset were all out for 347. Notts now 218 for 3. And the highest individual score with the bat today came for Derbyshire, and what a score. Martin Anderson, 228 runs for him today, a career best. The opponents Worcestershire 113 for 2. Trailed by 512.
Kevin, thank you. Remember, it's a long old day today here on 5 Live Sport. We're on air until midnight. At 10 o'clock tonight, we'll bring you commentary of the heavyweight fight between Derek Chisora against Deontay Wilder from the O2 Arena. And over on BBC 2 from 8, you can watch Lauren Price's defence of her world titles against Stephanie Pinheiro. In the next couple of minutes, we'll hear more reaction from Rangers' win today in the Scottish Premiership, Manchester City's win over Liverpool in the FA Cup quarter-finals. First, here's Joe Critcher.
The voice of the UK.
This is BBC Radio 5 Live.
President Trump has threatened to rain down hell on Iran if they don't make a peace deal or reopen the Strait of Hormuz within 48 hours. US troops are currently searching for a second crew member whose American fighter jet was shot down over Iran yesterday. The pilot has been rescued. Iranian officials are offering a reward to anyone who captures him alive. John Peters is a former RAF pilot who was taken hostage by Iraqi forces in the first Gulf War.
Both sides will be playing this very close to their chest. It would be interesting as to whether the Iranians will admit they've caught the person. Same for the Americans. Then no one is going to reveal their hands. We are getting down to small areas of land and limited time period, and the political ramifications at the big scale are huge.
5 Met police officers have been removed from frontline duties after a bag containing guns and ammunition was left on a street. It was discovered by a member of the public close to the Mayor of London's house. An amber wind warning has been issued this evening, with Storm Dave expected to bring strong winds to northern England, northwest Wales and southern Scotland. The Met Office says there could be flying debris, travel disruption and power cuts. And NASA has shared the first high-resolution images of the Earth taken by the Artemis 2 crew as they pass the halfway point between the Earth and the Moon. The spacecraft is on a looping path that will carry the crew around the far side of the Moon and back again.
My name's Steve Bracknell, Assistant Manager at Royal Oak FC.
Now, one bit of news, administration news.
It's John O'Hare from BBC Sounds. I can confirm Royal Oak versus Nag's Head will be streamed live.
The Nag's Head, live on BBC, streamed to Games Gone podcast YouTube channel. I told you to trust the process, didn't I?
April 5th, Easter Sunday, kick-off at 2 p.m. This is your moment. Tune in to the biggest game in Sunday League history.
Games Gone, the Steve Bracknell podcast. Listen on BBC Sounds.
This is 5 Live Sports with Maz Faruqi.
Listen on BBC Sounds.
So Chelsea 3-0 up against Port Vale at half-time at Stamford Bridge. Already today, though, in the FA Cup quarter-finals, Manchester City have booked their place in a record 8th consecutive semi-final, thanks to a 4-0 victory over Liverpool earlier. Erling Haaland helped himself to a hat-trick as well. And after the match, the Norwegian striker spoke to our football correspondent, John Murray.
Erling, did you manage to get the match ball from Michael Oliver?
Yeah, I got it in the end, so now I just had it signed by all the players, so I got it in the end.
What can you say about Ryan Shirky, who seems to have stepped up a level?
Yeah, I mean, Ryan is amazing, and it's about getting this quality and creativity out as high on the pitch and closest to their goal as possible, because that's where I want him, and that's where the team wants him to give us assists and all these kind of things. Look at the perfect ball he gives to Antoine today. Is perfect, and that's what we need from him. That's what I need from him, and I mean, he's amazing.
Yeah, he does things not many others do, doesn't he?
He's special. He really is.
Yeah, and for you, the determination in these final weeks of the season. You've already won one cup. There seems to be a real hunger to win at least another one.
Yeah, I mean, we have to keep going. As I said, game by game. Focus on what we can do something with. There's still a lot to play for. So, yeah, I mean, this time of the season is always special and it's always nice. So, let's see.
Pat Nevin was listening to that at Stamford Bridge for us. Pat, I mean, obviously it's a headline-grabbing win for Manchester City, but it's all really about the Liverpool defeat and the manner of the defeat as well, which just brings more questions in the future of Arne Slot.
Yeah, well, it certainly does. First of all, let's not ignore Manchester City, who I thought were absolutely brilliant in periods. Certainly when they went 2-0 up, they were playing some staggering football. And that goal with a little double touch from Cherky down the right wing was absolutely fantastic. The cross in for Haaland to score with the head. So they were great. Get out of the way first. Liverpool. And I think the fans they're very, very concerned at this point in time. This is the time when Liverpool usually go on a bit of a run. Obviously, they need to get the top 5 to get Champions League football next season. Unless, of course, they win the tournament with PSG coming up, meaning it's probably unlikely, and I think most Liverpool fans would accept that. But they've gone on this run now where they've got 4 points out of 12 when they're in a battle with Chelsea to get that kind of final place at the moment. And the mistakes that have been made and some of the defeats, I mean, it wasn't a defeat against Spurs, but it was Spurs. Spurs at home, and you were winning. And that's the ones at Liverpool with their eyes shut. That club puts away with their eyes shut most of the time. They never makes mistakes like that. So it is concerning. The kind of balance in the team doesn't look good at all. Anybody who watched Salah today, it's not
the
quite sad.
Penalty miss, yeah.
The penalty miss. But 2 good chances were, and they weren't absolutely easy chances, but Salah of last season, he puts them away and doesn't even think about it, right? And he scores the penalty kick. He could have had a hat-trick today. So the fall-off and the drop-off from Salah has been absolutely incredible. But, you know, what a player he has been. Even the best player, Virgil van Dijk, maybe a bit slow and a bit clumsy with the penalty kick he gives away. But more concerning than that is the Ekitike Verts. Can't say anything about the Isak because he's not back yet. But that was expected to really bounce forward. And what it feels like now to me is a transitional season that we all expected to happen last season. Well, it's happening now. But there's a few things that need to be changed, and I just don't know if they're going to be able to do it in time this season. And the right back, that's before you get to the right back problem. So there's quite a few to fix.
Yeah, there are. Well, it's a bad day for Liverpool, good day for Manchester City, good day as well for Rangers in the Scottish Premiership. They have gone top of the table on goal difference following a 4-2 win over Dundee United. Here's their head coach Danny Roll.
Yeah, it feels good because we won the game today. It shows a lot about the character, the mentality, also now the quality to win games. I think it's not just that we win games, I think we scored a lot of goals as well. And I think this is also a big compliment to the group. I like to have clean sheets, I must say this. In the last 2 games we conceded 1 and today 2. It's a little bit too much for me because you need then 4 goals. In some games you will not have the chance for 4 goals. It means we have to be stronger against the ball. But we want to play exciting football, and I think in some phases of the game today we played very enjoyable. This was what I like. Now we have to move on. It's hard working. and if we do it, then that's everything on our side.
And what you've done, of course, is put pressure on Hearts and Celtic for tomorrow.
Yeah, finally we took our 3 points, we did our homework. I don't look now until the end of the season to the opponent, to our teams around, just focus on ourselves. If we win 6 games, we will win the league.
Danny Roll with BBC Scotland's Rob McLean there, who was alluding to it. Hearts travel to Livingston tomorrow, their game in hand. Celtic go to Dundee. We'll have updates of both of those on 5 Live Sport. But Pat, Rangers top of the table for the first time in 2 years with that win today.
Well, first of all, you have to think what Danny Roll's done.
Yeah.
Before he came in, they had 9 points from 24. Now, that's Glasgow Rangers Football Club. That is unthinkable where they were. They have lost 1 game in 23 in the league since then. That is an astonishing run for a team that was really struggling before that. So what a job he's done. And I mean, they've had a few draws in there. By the way, they won the game they lost. Hearts away. It's the toughest game you can get. So he's done a great job. You know, the 2 defeats all season that they've got in the league. They're up there. They're putting as much pressure on. Look, everybody with a heart and a soul who isn't a Celtic and Rangers fan probably wants Hearts to win this league. That's just the way it is because they're such outsiders and Celtic and Rangers always win it. But if you have to be honest, and who's the form team? It's Rangers. And they are putting the pressure on now, as you say, because they are now above. I think it's in goal scored or goal difference, they're above Hearts just now. So Hearts will need to make sure that they have a go tomorrow. And it will not be easy for them because at Livingston, although they're bottom of the league, they play on a plastic pitch. It's never easy in a plastic pitch.
More from Pat in a couple of minutes. Let's just chat Rugby Union's Champions Cup, the last 16 stage. We brought you commentary earlier of Bath's win over Saracens, 31 points to 22 to reach the quarter-finals. And after the match, our correspondent Chris Jones spoke to the scorer of Bath's 4th try of the afternoon, Ollie Lawrence.
Ollie got there in the end. Really tough, tense game for large parts. Did you always expect Saracens to make it difficult for you?
Yeah, I think so. I think especially after the result the other week, it's quite hard. They were coming here with nothing to lose, and we had to obviously defend what we did and try and hopefully perform as we did last week, which we didn't quite manage to do in the first half, but we showed glimpses again in that second half, and there's plenty for us to improve on for next week.
Yeah, was that difficult? Everyone saw the result from a few weeks back. You put 60 on them, but did you guys prepare for a different type of game with it being knockout rugby and with this Saracens team being full of like world-class players who you know so well?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, they've got internationals across that whole team that have won countless amount of trophies, so they know how to win, and I think they showed that in that first half. They came with a different type of kicking game, and obviously conditions kind of favoured that, and we probably didn't react to it as well as we could have, didn't quite take our chances, but like I said, we went into the sheds at half time and we knew that we know how to close out a game, we know how to score tries. It was just about getting ourselves in the positions and that final pass just going to hand.
So Bath, with that win over Saracens, will now host Northampton next weekend for a place in the Champions Cup semi-finals. Elsewhere today, Toulon, this was a cracker, beat Stormers by a single point. So 28-27, they want to confirm their place in the last 8. At half-time, it's Glasgow 12, Bulls 14, and half-time as well between Toulouse and Bristol. Toulouse losing that 40 points to 7. Quins against Sale is an 8 o'clock kick-off. It's also the round of 16 stage in the European Challenge Cup in Rugby Union. These are results from earlier. Exeter Chiefs beat Munster 31 points to 21. Montpellier beat Perpignan 53 points to 13. At half-time, it's Benetton 33, Cardiff 21. The players are back out on the pitch at Stamford Bridge, ready for the second half in this FA Cup quarter-final. So let's return to Pat Nevin and first John Akers.
Thank you very much. Welcome back to Stamford Bridge. Chelsea will have the kick-off. Kicking from left to right as we look at it. Leading by 3-0 in this FA Cup quarter-final. They knock it back to Robert Sanchez, who launches a high ball forward. Won by João Pedro, scorer of the second goal for Chelsea. He's had an excellent game so far, and he's got possession near the corner flag on the left-hand side. Chelsea with Lavia. Challenged by Sharif. Having a look, I don't think we've seen any changes, but I think they're going to come. Pat Nevin, the former Chelsea winger, is alongside me.
One tactical change from Chelsea, which doesn't surprise me at all. They switched the wingers. Pedro's gone left this time, and Esteval's coming the right-hand side because they'd switched just at the end of the half, hadn't they? But they've switched back again now, so But looking at Esteval, I don't think he looked comfortable on the left, did he? In that first half, he wasn't getting enough of the ball and he wasn't causing problems. And as I say that, he's giving the ball away again. He's not having a good one, has he?
He's not had a good game so far, Esteval, and he's given away a free kick 10 yards inside the Chelsea half on the left-hand side. He tried to take on Liam Gordon, and
he doesn't look himself, does he? Now, oddly enough, seeing certain matches, if it's 0-0 or 1-0 and it's tight and under pressure, you might take Esteval being a kid off because it's not working for him. This is the perfect opportunity to say, no, stay on, work your way through it, get better, get on the ball a little bit more, and do something positive.
Port Vale with a free kick, swung in, far post, helped back across, chance, Humphreys cleared away, just couldn't get a foot to it when it really mattered, and Port Vale are in possession, 5 yards inside the Chelsea half, and another free kick. This time it's Pedro Neto gives it away, and he pats Ojo, the 34-year-old, on the back. He couldn't believe it was a free kick, but the referee was right there and said yes, free kick, 10 yards inside the Chelsea half left-hand side. Chelsea leading by 3-0. 5 Live in the BBC World Service. It was a good opportunity, actually, just watching the replay. Humphreys, he just kicked thin air as in comes the free kick from Port Vale. It's gone all the way through, but there's a free kick in there. He went down there, did Andre Santos, and Port Vale concede the free kick, and Chelsea have got it in their own penalty area.
That was the best moment of the game, wasn't it, for Port Vale? Ball played to the back post. Actually, there was two very similar ones within a minute of each other, but the first one headed back across goal. They didn't quite attack it with the verve that was needed there, but yeah, certainly the best moment they've had in the game so far. The closest they've come to a goal anyway.
Free kick given away by Kyle John. Probably Port Vale's best player this season so far. Was at Everton for a long time, didn't play in the first team, and only came to Port Vale and started playing first team football when he was 23, which is the way it is with a lot of these big squads at Premier League clubs at the moment, Pat.
I would also say centre-half's a different thing, but we'll go into that in a minute.
Esteval chests the ball down in the penalty area, puts the ball back across towards Pedro, just put too much on it, and it's gone out for a throw-in on the far side because João Pedro was really well placed in the middle.
Question mark, was he offside anyway? I think he might have been at that point in time. I actually thought he handled the ball, but he didn't get a good cross in, but that would give a little bit of heart. And as I'm looking down here, I'm seeing the assistant referee appears to have his flag up now, so I think it would have been called offside by the assistant referee.
It's going to script for Chelsea. In domestic cups since 2016, they progressed in all 37 ties against lower league opposition. So in the last 10 years, every time they've played a team from a lower division, 37 times that is, they have gone through. So incredible consistency at this level. Port Vale play the ball forward, and then Chelsea head clear, headed back in by Port Vale. Head tennis at the moment. It's all up in the air. It's all a bit ugly and scrappy in the middle of the pitch, and Port Vale through John have come up with it, and they've got the ball 10 yards inside their own half.
You mentioned about John not getting into the team until he's 23. Centre-backs are different. It just takes much longer for centre-backs to be cooked, because, you know, other players, you bring them in and they're 18, 19, they make a mistake, then so what? Can't do that centre-back, you can't do that with a goalkeeper. And that's why, you know, they took a much longer time to get to maturity, and you find out it's late.
Lovely back heel. Forward they come through. Santos, big chance for Esteval. He's hit the post on his left foot, opened up his body. He's lying on the ground with his head in the turf, head in hands. He can't believe he hasn't scored it. It's spun off the bottom of the goalkeeper's right hand post, and Chelsea should be 4 up.
Yeah, it's a miss, and he's hit the post and he's come close. The ball's a wee bit behind him. The pass is just slightly behind him when it's played in, so he has to angle his body. Look, he's capable of doing that, you know, putting it into that position. He's getting tackled as well. I'll try and give him lots of excuses. He should score it. Full stop, he should score it. And when he's playing with confidence, he just puts that ball in without even thinking about it. So I think Esteval could have done with that goal, eh?
I think that might have just settled him down. Absolutely. That's a good challenge in the middle of the pitch, and Cole Palmer's streaking away, and he puts in Esteval on the right hand side. Esteval, edge of the penalty area, moving into the area now Cole Palmer on the edge of the box, low shot, and well read by Joe Gauci, who falls on it to his right. Not enough power from Palmer, but Chelsea again looked threatening.
It's quite nice the way Palmer did there, wasn't it? He's aimed it through the legs. It's not often the players do that. They saw where the only gap was. It was through the legs, and he side-footed it through the legs of the player, trying to put it into the corner. Now, you're absolutely spot on. There wasn't enough power in it. But what a lovely thought to try and do that.
Chelsea looking to end their longest losing streak since May 2023. As Palmer nudges it forward looking for João Pedro, but it comes off the legs of Garrity. It goes out for a throw into Chelsea on the far side. 6 minutes of the second half gone. Chelsea 3, Port Vale 0. Still to come on 5 Live, we have commentary of Southampton versus Arsenal to come. That's an 8 o'clock kickoff. Chris Wise and Franny Benali will be talking you through that one. And that will be interesting. At Southampton, to see whether Arsenal can come through that one. Interesting to see which kind of team they pick as the ball's played over the top, looking for the run of Esteval, but across comes Hall, and Hall, left-footed for Port Vale, clears the ball away. Chelsea in possession in the centre circle with Santos along the turf to score the first goal. Harto. Now Pedro's on the left wing in this half. 10 yards inside the Port Vale half. Gives it short. Port Vale still running around. Gabriel trying to get hold of the ball. Round the outside goes João Pedro brilliantly. He's still got possession. Corner of the penalty area, left-hand side. Plays it back inside. Gusto had a good first half. And now Lavia. And now Esteval. Corner of the penalty area on the right. They've switched the play. 4 waiting in the middle here for a cross. They go short, though. Little ball in. Esteval again in the penalty area. Esteval still to the byline. Puts in a little cross. Comes off the legs of Gordon. And behind for a Chelsea corner.
Yeah, you actually can tell that Chelsea are trying to get Esteval on the ball as often as they possibly can. As if to say, look, keep on giving it, keep on giving it. We'll come through it, we'll come through it. And it's getting better as the game is going off. However, João Pedro, I think the only word I can describe, and it's not a word I often use about centre forwards, he's so elegant on the ball. He is a beautiful footballer to watch, and he's been very, very special today.
Some people in front of us just retaking their seats after half-time. And Chelsea in possession with Cole Palmer. They went short with the corner and never got the ball in the box. And there's a forward ball from Lavia, and he's overhit that and he's behind for a Port Vale goal kick. The scorer of the third goal for Chelsea has been changed to a Gabriel own goal.
Yeah. I kind of thought that.
Did you?
Yeah, I kind of thought that. They both went up in for it exactly the same time, and the odd angle it came up at, I thought it was just behind. Yeah, Cole Palmer went in, so that's a shame for it, because obviously you'd love Cole to get it and you don't want a defender to get it, but them's the rules.
It was a low ball in from the byline from Neto, and Palmer and Gabriel went for it at the same time, and the touch off Gabriel last as the camera zooms in on John Rudge, former Port Vale manager and Stoke City director of football. As Port Vale come forward down the right, you can hear the roar from their 6,000, and Gabriel's fouled the left back, Harto, and it will be a free kick for Chelsea. They had a brilliant run under him in the 80s and 90s. They beat Spurs in the FA Cup when they got the fire brigade to water the pitch before the game.
That's impressive. I once had somebody at a club that I was working at trying to get... Well, I'll tell you that story in a moment.
Ball over the top. Can João Pedro finish here on his right foot for Chelsea? He's forced wide, and it comes off the Port Vale defender, and it's behind for a corner. I just thought for a moment there he was going to hit it early.
He got a wee nudge, and I think that's why he didn't. You know, that's kind of probably good defending in some way, and I think for a moment João Pedro considered going down with a little nudge, and he might have got a penalty, but I applaud him. He stayed on his feet, tried to be strong, and eventually got a corner kick out of it.
Corner's going to be taken left-footed by Neto, chipped in into the middle, cleared away by a Port Vale head. Cole Palmer picks it up midway inside the Port Vale half. Now Gusto. Palmer again, swung out to the right. Neto, after taking the corner. Neto still inside on his left foot. Might strike it, good strike. Parried away by Gauci, the Port Vale goalkeeper, behind for a corner.
Do you think everybody in this ground knew he was going to shoot 5 seconds before he did? He so wound that up there. He manipulated the situation, and most players would try and put it to the back post. He just went for pure raw power. Got plenty of it, but it was straight at the keeper.
11 minutes of the second half gone. Chelsea 3, Port Vale 0. They've gone short with the corner again. They've got loads of space. Neto, Gusto, chips it in. Oh, good header, good goal. Really good. It's Adrabayo with a towering header back across the keeper. 8 yards out. Chelsea 4, Port Vale 0.
Right, we'll get on to the bad defending later, but Chelsea have just kept on prodding, and as soon as there is a half a yard spare, they will find that man in the right area. Played down the right hand side. It's a lovely cross to the back post there, and Tosin, any centre forward loves that, don't they? Unmarked, about 8 yards out, heads it classically back to where the ball has come from there, and that was in many ways a far too easy goal to lose. At this point in time, I mentioned to you earlier on about a centre-back and a full-back, and there's always a space between them. Well, there it was again.
They just switched off from the short corner, didn't they? There was far too much time and space, and there might be some heads going down out there now, Pat Nevin.
They certainly can't afford to do that, because Chelsea get too much quality, and they could shred them at this point in time, and to some degree, every goal that Chelsea get now will add to the confidence and add to the belief that they've got that it may be, shorn away a wee bit in the last 3 or 4 games, and look at them now. They're enjoying their games, and lots of players got on the score sheet, and if you're a centre forward, you're thinking, I can maybe get a hat-trick here, I could get a few more goals, keep me on, don't sub me.
Joao Pedro's gone down injured under a challenge from Garrity, but he's let play go on, and he's back up on his feet, Joao Pedro, and Chelsea are in possession 5 yards inside their own half. The first goals that Chelsea have scored in 4, and it is just what Liam Rosenior and the club would have wanted this week after 4 straight defeats, and then Enzo Fernandez and Mark Cucurella making those comments. It always seems to be in their native tongue while they're on international duty, Pat Nevin, in interviews where they get, I don't know whether they're being caught out or whether it's deliberate.
No, it's always the same excuse. It's a great movie title, Lost in Translation. And they always say that, oh no, it's not what it says, it doesn't come across well. And, and sometimes that is the case. But usually I think players are just shocked that it goes all the way back halfway around the world and lands in one of the red tops, or certainly on social media.
Yeah, if you missed it, Enzo Fernandez has been sanctioned by the club. He's going to miss this game and the game against Manchester City next for saying that he liked the idea of living in Madrid because it's like Buenos Aires, and the club have taken exception to that as Gusto tries to find a way through midway inside the Port Vale half, leading by 4 goals to 0. Cole Palmer, little back heel towards Joao Pedro. They look really dangerous now, and they've given a lot so far. The chanting you can hear in the background, though, is the Port Vale fans.
Gives you great heart if you're a player and you're having a tough time, and the fans are basically singing and saying, we're with you.
In fact, both sets of fans are cheering. Here's Esteval, who aims it towards goal, comes back to Cole Palmer, hits the goalkeeper again. He's done well there, Joe Gauci. Made a good first save and then was brave with the second one as well. And he's going to get some treatment here, I think. I think he's hurt himself, Pat.
Well, I think the forwards probably hurt him going through there, and the 50-50 challenge there, but certainly Chelsea now, they look as if they're up for it. Absolutely look as if they're up for it, which is worrying. They're enjoying themselves now.
Here come the changes, Pat Nevin, that you predicted. We're going to see 3 for Chelsea. First of all, off go Neto, Joao Pedro and Cole Palmer captaining the team for the first time today, the senior team. And then on are going to come Garnacho, Delap and Desogu. So they're going to come on. Sugo for Palmer, Garnacho for Neto, Joao Pedro for Delap. And I think we're going to see some changes for Port Vale as well.
Yeah, and it's one of those ones, the games where the fans actually showing greater appreciation. They've enjoyed, a little bit of entertainment, but they've missed out for a while down here at the Stamford Bridge. And maybe not just the games they lost there have been some dull performances this season, but some people will say it's only Port Vale, but you have to do it, you have to break them down, you have to score the goals, and Port Vale have had a back five and they managed to get through them, 4 times, but more than that as well. They've had chances on top of that, and some of the play has been good to watch.
Yeah, Chelsea have been great to watch going forward.
The referee's done it again. There's a foul on Esteval there, and he's let it run on for 3, 4, 5 seconds. Chelsea don't get advantage, bring it back. It's really, really good. I mean, it's really quite impressive the referee's done that. I know he's the referee that a certain Pep Guardiola wasn't absolutely delighted with. That was the one that Pep was complaining about, that he felt he was trying to be the centre of attention. Okay, so his shots might be a bit tight, but he's done well. He's done very, very well so far. And I can pretend I knew all that, but in actual fact it was George, the producer, that told me that.
Yeah, Farai Hallam is the referee as Chelsea are in possession again, aimed towards Delap, who will have some extra incentive because obviously his dad Rory was part of the Stoke City team that won promotion to the Premier League under Tony Pulis, and then went into Europe and FA Cup semi-finals and finals, and he was just a young boy in 2008 when they were doing all that.
I mean, he's got a bit, apart from father, etc., for himself it's been a difficult season, hasn't it? Injuries, not scoring anywhere near as many goals as he would expect to score. And there are players that have come to Chelsea, certainly Everton are enjoying having a player that Chelsea couldn't use and are using him brilliantly now, Dewsbury Hall. And you just look at, Delap and think, is this the right place for you? And you just wonder if it is. It's not these are bad players, it's not fitting for him quite yet.
Garnacho on the far side gets it inside to Santos, and now back to Tosin Adrabayo. Garnacho again, nice feet from him, moving from left to right across the pitch into the feet of Gusto. Estebal's got some space on the right hand side and they found him, and now he's got a one-on-one here with Gordon, and he's doing some step overs, the 18-year-old Brazilian, and into the feet of Gusto. Nice 1-2, back across goal over the bar. Good chance that for Garnacho on his right foot, but he was just leaning back and it's over the bar.
Yeah, it was, but it's kind of bounced up, then it's one of those ones that looks easier than it is because it's coming at pace. Because it's coming at pace, it's very hard to deal with, and because it's bouncing, it's on the bounce up, that makes it triply hard to deal with. So yeah, I think he should have scored there. It's another opportunity they've made. I think Esteval's just thinking, oh, give us a break. I want at one point to have at least an assist behind my name.
Andre Gray is coming on for Port Vale. Sharif coming off, Gordon going off as well, and on comes Campbell and Ben Waine. Unfortunately for him, can't be the hero for a third time in the FA Cup this season. Scored the winner in 3 of the rounds, including the last 2. He makes way after that 27-hour flight from New Zealand, where he scored against Chile. He goes off as well.
To be fair, he's done well to last this long, 65 minutes, after that monster journey he's had.
George Hall comes on, and now here's Esteval with good pace. Just leaves the ball behind. He's in the penalty area though. On his left foot, shoots, hits the post, comes back and hits the goalkeeper Gauci in the face, and then is cleared away to safety. I thought for a moment there he got his goal.
I'm beginning to feel a wee bit sorry for Esteval now. He's now hit both posts, hasn't he? So what more can he do? He's got much better in this second half. He's getting himself in good positions, but maybe that's just the case. He's had a decent bit of time out for an injury, looked a bit rusty and uncertain at the start, and as I said just after half time, it's one of those ones where actually don't take him off, leave him on, give him minutes, give him time, allow himself to get his touch back again, and that's beginning to come.
Chelsea 4, Port Vale 0 in the FA Cup quarter-final on 5 Live, BBC Sounds, BBC Sport website, and on BBC One. 24 minutes plus added time remaining, and we're on BBC World Service wherever you are in the world. Hope you're enjoying this commentary. You will be if you're a Chelsea fan at the moment, because they're heading towards their first win in 5. As Esteban tries to get hold of the ball, a back pass towards the goalkeeper Gauci didn't do him any favours. It was really firmly struck, and Port Vale have conceded yet another corner.
Yeah, it's kind of it's hard for them now. They're scarcely getting out of their own half now, Port Vale. So it's backs to the wall. They're getting tired, getting shorn apart. Now mostly on the right-hand side.
Short corner again. Esteban picks it up. And now a chance to cross from Harto, scorer of the first goal for Chelsea. Back it goes to Gusto. They've still got 5 in the penalty area waiting for a cross here, Chelsea. It's with Harto again. Gusto. Lavia, 15 yards inside the Port Vale half. The Chelsea fans in good voice to our right, and both sets of fans having a good sing-song. The tinfoil FA Cups in the away end are maybe being sat on now, but hopefully they've still enjoyed their day out.
I actually saw some Port Vale fans on one of those tourist buses earlier than the open top one, so yes, I think they have enjoyed the day.
I still love that stat. It's not quite managed to be for them today. The last time they played, when the boat race was happening, they won at Fulham 6-0. In fact, the camera panned to the game at one point during that boat race, apparently, so the story goes, and that might have been Port Vale's first ever appearance on live television, 1987.
Very impressive. By the way, 6-0. We don't want to hear any more about 6-0 right now, as we stand at 4.
Well, you'd be surprised at the moment if Chelsea didn't get more pat.
They were very, very capable of doing it, and people like Delap are desperate to get in the act, as is Garnacho.
Garnacho, step-overs into the penalty area, lays it back, chance to shoot, deflected and over the crossbar, ripples the top of the net and behind for a corner again to Chelsea. It was Santos with the strike that took a flick, and another Chelsea corner.
Yeah, and Garnacho again, he's this kind of love-hate figure with the Chelsea fans, because he gets a lot of the ball in what looks like pretty good areas and then always turns back and always lays the ball back. That's not difficult to do. That's very easy to do that. You got to now and again take on a defender and get the byline. He's got a chance to do it today.
Corner for Chelsea, swung in, far post goal. Very good header again, and Chelsea have got 5. It's a very, very good delivery. All the Port Vale players missed it, and at the far post, Andre Santos ghosted in and smashed the header home from close range. An FA Cup semi-final beckons for Chelsea. They lead Port Vale 5-0.
Well, that's 6 we were talking about as a possibility, but that's, again, it's just kind of unacceptable and a little bit criminal that if you put in a very simple corner at the back post and there's nobody on him, and there's nobody following him, and he's got a completely clean header and a clear header, and that's the second clear header they've managed to get on. That's 2 or 3 yards out, completely and utterly lost his marker, and he couldn't miss that if he tried. So 5-0 to Chelsea. And you mentioned the fact that the heads have went down. I actually think the heads have gone down, and maybe somewhat surprisingly 1 or 2 Port Vale fans have head towards the exit. Not a lot of them, but 1 or 2.
The goalkeeper, Joe Gauci, won't want to see that again. There is a short VAR check, but play is back underway. We had a VAR check for a foul on the goalkeeper, but as far as I can see, he just bumped into his own player. Joe Gauci completely misjudged the flight of the ball into the penalty area. Check complete, goal stands, we're back underway, and Gauci clears left-footed to the halfway line. It is crossing, according to the Port Vale commentary team from BBC Radio Stoke, that he struggles with a little.
I jive in. I can't blame him. I really can't blame him. If yes, he's been blocked a little bit, maybe he has to be a little bit stronger, but you can't allow a player to run free in the box. He was being marked. There was no major block. he just got a free run, and he's running onto it with a clean header from there. And yeah, look, you could push it and say, yeah, he's got to come and, you know, maybe dominate that 6-yard line, but in actual fact, he was being blocked, and I think it's defence more than goalkeeper.
Andre Gray is on, who has scored against Chelsea in his time in the Premier League with Watford, but never at Stamford Bridge. Chelsea leading 5-0, 19 minutes plus added time to go.
Feeling like a long 19 minutes now for Port Vale, isn't it? A very long 19 minutes. And there is tiredness coming in now, and it's, yeah, they can run about, etc., but it's the mental tiredness that you can see in some of the players, the Port Vale defenders now. You just need to switch off, and that's been the story of it. I think probably in 2 or 3 of the goals in your commentary, the build-up, you've said switched off, and that has been the story of it. Switch off for a second. Maybe you can get away with that in the Championship. You will not get away with that against top international players, be it Chelsea, be it Arsenal, be it whoever at the very top level. And that's what's happened to them.
Port Vale free kick. Gauci takes it 10 yards inside his own half, swings it to the far side. They've picked up the second ball with Walters, and now Gabriel midway inside the Chelsea half, trying to get round the Chelsea defender, but has failed to do so. Chelsea have got possession of the ball, left back position. Ball rolls out of play. Does it? No, says the assistant. And 2 players go crashing into the advertising board, and now are back up on their feet, and an embrace and a pat on the back, and it's a throw into Port Vale and a cheer. They've just cheered. The biggest cheer of the day from the Port Vale fans has been that throw-in awarded to them, and they're going to have a chance to launch one long into the penalty area of Chelsea, trailing 5-0.
Yeah, they've got the real belief in the length of this throw, because no one's going to the front of the 6-yard line.
In it comes, high, looping, headed away by Chelsea. Walters misses his header for Port Vale, and now it's picked up on the right by Gusto. Little step over. Andre Gray used all his experience to know which way he'd go, and the ball's gone out of play, says the assistant, and it's a Port Vale throw, and another big cheer for another throw-in.
The assistant referee gave it the other way first, and then when the referee looked up, he changed his mind and pointed the other way. And we were going to get some changes at some point, some more changes, because there are a lot of tired players out there for Port Vale, and you can see it. And I don't think, is it Garrity that's going to come off now? He's not been playing every week up until now recently.
He's had some injuries this season, Ben Garrity.
So maybe no surprise that he's coming off now.
It's his 5th season with Port Vale, the 29-year-old. They signed him from Oldham. He's been a really good player for Port Vale. Very difficult in there for him today. And on comes Ethan Archer, who started the game against Sunderland in his place. So 4 substitutions made for Port Vale and 3 for Chelsea, and Ojo for Port Vale in possession. And now on the left-hand side, Elijah Campbell, one of those substitutes. George Hall, one of the others to come on for Port Vale. 16 minutes to go. Gauci's kick goes straight out of play for a throw into Chelsea midway inside the Vale half on the left-hand side. Still to come, Southampton versus Arsenal, with Chris Wise and Franny Benali, an 8 o'clock kick-off. That one, what do you make of that one?
I'm just such a huge fan of what Arsenal have done this season, and more than anything else, I mean, various players, Declan Rice has been brilliant, etc., but depth of squad, it's taken a long time, but boy, they've got it now, so they've got every chance.
Good feet from Hall. This is a really good run from George Hall, and his shot is deflected wide, and it's a corner for Port Vale. Where did that come from?
Has he not read the script? You're not allowed to do that against top level players. Lovely step over there from Hall, gets himself into a great area. In the end, it's a good block, but again, there's been 2 or 3 moments, maybe not any more than that, where you've just seen little glimpses from Port Vale that what they're capable of doing. And it's probably going to be, it's too late today, and it might be too late this season, but you can see something build there.
Short corner for Port Vale. Can they find a cross? They're still struggling to get this ball into the penalty area. On the left-hand side, John with a cross, headed away, and now they might well break here, Chelsea. Garnacho, he's done really well there as Kyle John to get possession back. And Gray, Andre Gray on the right, midway inside the Chelsea half's got it for Port Vale. That was the best moment of the match with George Hall, and then he passes the ball out of play, and then it's a throw into Chelsea.
and they're having a little bit of dig. You left yourselves wide open at the back there again, but as you say, it was a great piece of defending there by Hall. And you're just looking at, if you're looking at it from a Chelsea point of view, who needs a goal? Because they're capable of scoring again. I mean, definitely up front, Delap needs a goal, doesn't he? Garnacho seriously needs a goal for them as well. It wouldn't be a bad thing for Esteval would have helped him to get a goal today. But probably more than anyone, right at this point in time, wouldn't Delap just love to get his chance this time? He's not had a chance so far in this game, has he?
I think he would love it against Port Vale, Stoke City's bitter rivals, of course. And a throw in for Port Vale midway inside their own half on the left-hand side. We've got live boxing for you tonight as well. Jonathan Overend, along with Steve Bunce, are at the O2 for the heavyweight clash between Derek Chisora and Deontay Wilder. That's live for you tonight from 10 o'clock. And we've got the undercard of that as well for you on Sports Extra from 7:15. And the live sport is not done today. We've got the Challenge Cup, Ulster versus Ospreys, which is on Sports Extra 2 for you today, and Newcastle Red Bulls versus La Rochelle on Sports Extra 3 if you're in the UK. And here's Garnacho live on BBC World Service. In comes the cross, and he's just overhit that one, and it's behind for a goal kick for Port Vale, who trailed by 5-0. It's only one more than Wickham managed against them last weekend.
Yeah, but on the other hand, I think you've jinxed it. You mentioned 6-0 earlier on there.
Yeah.
I think they said it was an omen. Well, it wasn't you. You were told by someone else that it might be an omen. And it feels a wee bit like that just now. So Chelsea, another player that's given a bit of a rest. And Lavia's coming off, and actually he's kind of worked hard. He's done the sensible, ugly stuff in there quite a bit. Hasn't really shone or stuck out in any particular way. But standing in as he is for Enzo Fernandez, he's done himself a favour showing that he's capable of doing that job in there.
Yeah, 17-year-old Ryan Kavuma McQueen comes on for Chelsea to make his senior debut. Just 17 years of age. Born the 1st of January 2009. I always like giving the dates because I've definitely got socks older than that. But he's on the pitch and he'll never forget this, Pat.
No, he won't. Your first game for the club, but the noises that are made within the club about him, there are hopes for this one. And Chelsea have got a great history of providing players from their youth academy, and brought in from elsewhere.
Brilliant from Esteval, the 18-year-old. And Kavuma McQueen has made a run in front of him. He can't find Delap, but Chelsea is still in possession. It was Lavia who went off, by the way. Here's Garnacho moving across from left to right. Chelsea with plenty of numbers forward here. Gusto into the feet of Esteval. Garnacho again. Now it's with Santos, corner of the penalty area, right-hand side. Lays it back for Fofana, and now a first touch for Kavuma McQueen, and he's won a corner with his first touch.
Yeah, that's a lovely thing to happen. You get the ball. And one of the things you should always do when a young player comes on, have a look at who passes to him. And if the top players get the ball and hit him, you think, right, he's a player, because they won't do that. They just won't give him the ball if they don't know that within training he's got it. And as soon as you get the ball there, the ball zipped out to him, and it was positive. Went to the byline, tried to get something out of it, and got a corner.
Young Englishman, as the corner comes in to the far post again. This time there is a Port Vale body in the way, but here's Garnacho in the penalty area, moving towards the byline, left-hand side, has to check, go back. Gusto, 35 yards from goal, stands on the ball, changes direction, now takes it out to the left to Garnacho again. There are still 3 or 4 Chelsea players waiting for the ball inside the penalty area. 10 minutes plus added time remaining on 5 Live and BBC World Service. Live on the BBC Sport website and BBC Sounds. Download it right now for your smartphone or tablet. And they've been forced back here by Port Vale, who are still working despite being 5-0 down. It's not been the afternoon that they would have wanted.
No, it's been a tough one for them, and they've put a lot of energy out there as well, and they need that energy for the run-in to somehow try and save themselves in the league just now. By the way, come back to McQueen, you're absolutely convinced about the Englishman. You know, with the name McQueen, you know, Stevie Clark's immediately getting on the phone just to check, just in case.
The internet says so.
No, I believe you. It's just McQueen. That was the thing that jumped out at me.
Chelsea in possession, 5 yards inside their own half. That's good feet and a good first touch from Harto, and a lovely ball. Here's Garnacho for 6, hits the post, deflects to Esteval, who scores. Goal's going to stand. Flag goes up.
Yeah, they'll check it. It's one of those ones. I don't think the assistant referee and the referee know. I kind of think they're half guessing, so they have to have it, because it happened so quickly. The flag was incredibly late, as in the ball had been in the net for about 15 seconds. And if it is offside, it'll be tight. And for Esteval, can anything else go wrong? I mean, no fault of his own. He's hit the post already. Garnacho needs a goal. He's hit the post as well. It's going to be a very tight one. I'm looking at the build-up play. I don't think there's an offside in the build-up play.
Garnacho's not offside.
And, I think there might be a toenail offside for Esteval when the ball was played at first. And it's whether there was a touch after that, which there was, but whether it's from a Chelsea player. Yeah, it's a tight one. Esteval's holding his breath.
Checking disallowed goal.
Yeah, they didn't know. They could only guess. It was a pure guess.
Neil Davies is the
looks
VAR.
to the naked eye, it looks a tiny bit offside by the Esteval toe, doesn't it?
Potentially, but it is very, very tight. You're right. Is the Port Vale defender's shoulder or knee playing him onside? It's almost impossible to see with the naked eye. They'll have to put the lines down.
What they're trying to tell now is the first shot, who did the next touch come off of? If the next touch come off of Garnacho when it came back off the post, then that changes what you're looking at again. It is one of those VAR ones which takes a little while to get right. But of course it's taking just slightly too long just now.
Looking to see who got the last touch, as Pat said, and a very, very, very tight call.
Yeah, well, if you're taking this amount of time, look, get it right. Just 2 out of 10, get it right. I'd rather you got it right.
Goal. The goal will count, not offside. Esteval has his goal, and it's 6. And now the fans celebrate, and Port Vale supporters, 6,000 of them, who've made the long journey down from the Potteries, have seen their side concede 6 here, but they are still singing, jumping. I can see the tinfoil FA Cup still hoisted in the away end. It's great to see, actually.
I'm going to go out on a limb here and say I don't think Port Vale are going to win the FA Cup this year. So they can wave what they like, but in reality they're just saying well done to their team, you know, sticking by them. They need help now, because it's been a hard day to deal with for them. But looking at it from a Chelsea point of view, you know, the seniors had a lot of stick recently, and at half-time I said, good, you've kept Esteval on. It's the right thing to do. He needs to work through this. He's worked through it. He's hit the post twice. He's almost got a couple of assists. And finally, after all this, he's managed to get his goals in these last few minutes.
It was the Port Vale defender's knee who was playing Esteval onside, and it is 6-0. And I think the sponsors might have given Esteval man of the match as well, the 18-year-old Brazilian.
What? Right. I mean, he's had a good second half. I'll grant you that, he's had a good second half. I'm his biggest fan, but this has not been his best game.
77% possession for Chelsea, and they're on the attack again, and there's still 5 minutes plus added time for them to find more. And here's Esteval again to the byline, whips it back across, but it was just too firmly struck and no one arriving. Liam Delap was a little late. And here are Chelsea in possession inside the centre circle, inside the Port Vale half. 19 shots Chelsea have had, 10 of those on target, 33 touches in the opposition box.
They've hit the post 3 times.
Yeah, Port Vale have had 4 shots, none on target, and just 5 touches in the Chelsea penalty area. They've got possession now, though. Can they find a goal for those travelling supporters? It's George Hall running down the left-hand side, who provided that little spark of energy a little bit earlier on. He lays it back to Ojo. There aren't many forward in this rare attack from Port Vale. They're in possession with Humphreys, 10 yards inside the Chelsea half, but it's intercepted, and Chelsea are in possession again, moving towards the halfway line.
That is the problem you've got, as I mentioned before, about there are some games you play and you go 3 or 4 down, and then, you know, the big teams say, right, we've had enough, we'll pass it about, we'll take it easy. The problem we've got is Chelsea had a good bunch of players that needed a goal. They needed to get themselves into the team. They're fighting for a first team place. So you didn't get that if you were Port Vale. You've had to put up with Chelsea continually attacking, continually prodding, asking them questions, and that's why it's 6 and it could have easily been more.
Port Vale have got possession on the right-hand side with the substitute Archer, who lays a little ball for Gabriel. Intercepted, though, by Chelsea, who play the ball out towards Delap. Keeping possession on the right now. It's with Kavuma McQueen, whose toe pokes a little ball forward, but it's intercepted by Port Vale. And here's Ojo with plenty of space inside his own half, and runs the ball all the way to the halfway line, tries to stab it forward towards George Hall, but it's intercepted. And Chelsea have possession on halfway with Delap, now dispossessed. A bit of a wrestling match between Delap and Ojo.
I don't think Delap minds that, does he? It's his kind of game. He kind of likes that. He's a hard, you know, all the tough times that Delap's had since he came to Chelsea, and it hasn't went well for him. Fans still love him. They absolutely love him because he will give everything in every single game. And you know, it's a lovely thing to see any player like that. They understand that, okay, it's not right, I'm not getting the goals, but I'll get the backing. It can turn at any point in time because they're right behind me.
As a kid, I remember Rory talking about him. He was one of those kids who looked like an under-15 playing at under-11s. Yeah. Like, he was just quicker, bigger, stronger, clinical, just unbelievable at youth level. Here's Kavuma McQueen for Chelsea on the right, puts in a cross, charge down, throw in for Chelsea right by the corner flag, right-hand side.
Isn't it intriguing with Kavuma McQueen? Every time he's got the ball, he's trying to go at the defender. You know, how many wingers do you see in the modern game that go up to the defender, stop and turn back? And this young ones come through and they do it. And then sometimes you get knocked out of them. You know, you have to keep possession. You don't take risks. I hope they tell him not to stop taking risks. Remember, you only need to beat the defender once.
I always feel like that with Jadon Sancho, that when I've seen him at Dortmund, he looks like he's taking people on and skinning people, and then he comes back here and it's sideways.
And there's lots, I mean, the player on the ball just now is a perfect example of it. Garnacho, you want him to go to the line, but he goes back, and as I say that, he goes back.
He does exactly that, and he's given away a free kick as well, Garnacho, and it's a free kick for Port Vale with a minute to go plus added time. 5 Live and BBC World Service, with Chelsea leading by 6-0. We will guide you through Southampton versus Arsenal still to come, with Chris Wise and Franny Benali, to see if there's any potential drama there. Of course, Manchester City also through already. 4-0 against Liverpool, as the free kick for Port Vale is taken high, launched long. Kavuma McQueen plays the ball into the feet of Rory Delap. Garnacho's on the overlap. Here goes Garnacho, left-hand side. They've got space here, Chelsea. Goes down, clash of legs. Referee gives a penalty. Yeah, penalty for Chelsea and a chance to make it 7. Pat Nevin.
Yeah, not even the slightest doubt about that one. I don't think it's deliberate, but it's clumsy. Tries to make a tackle, and the ball's away there. He's not anywhere near the ball. They will have a look at it again, but for me that looks as clean a penalty kick as you'll get. We'll get a better angle here, and as I say that, is it Garnacho that sticks his foot into the defender?
I think they'll have a look at this.
Do you know,
there is contact, but it's who's made contact with who. It was.
I have to say, I'll change my mind. I wouldn't give a penalty for that.
Tyler McGlure it was with the challenge.
They're not going to change it, are they?
I don't think there's been a check, no.
Because, by the way, Garnacho's not. There are players that do that deliberately, initiate the contact. I don't think it was deliberate anyway. It's neither here nor there. The referee doesn't seem to be putting his finger to his ear.
It's going to be Alejandro Garnacho with the penalty for Chelsea in the 91st minute. Hands on hips, he stands, with Gauci bouncing on his line. Wipes the sweat from his brow. Garnacho steps up, right-footed, and scores! And it's 7 for Chelsea. They have cruised into the FA Cup semi-final, and Port Vale's brave, long run in the competition comes to an end with a 7-0 defeat. Chelsea 7, Port Vale 0.
Yeah, and Garnacho's a lovely penalty. He smacked it right into the corner, sending the keeper the wrong way. Got a real belief about it, and at this point in time, if in game for Chelsea, that's what you're wanting. You're wanting certain players to get a little lift, and Esteval's got his goal, Garnacho's got his goal. No goal for Delap yet, but they've got 7 goals, and they've been clinical today. In the final third, Chelsea have been very, very, very good today. It's not been a sparkling performance everywhere for Chelsea. The worrying thing for Port Vale, it hasn't had to be.
Well, they could have had 10. I mean, they've hit the frame of the goal 3 times, as you mentioned, Pat. Could have been many more. And the referee, after 2 minutes of added time, says enough is enough and wraps things up. And Liam Rosenior gets a first win in 5, and Chelsea are heading for Wembley in the FA Cup semi-final. They were very, very good against the Port Vale side who gave it everything. They brought 6,000 with them, but they just couldn't live with Chelsea this afternoon. Chelsea 7, Port Vale 0.
John, Pat, thank you. We'll be back with you in a second, but we're just going to head to St Mary's because we're just going to quickly get the team news ahead of the 8 o'clock FA Cup quarter-final between Southampton and Arsenal. Chris Wise has that for us.
Yeah, and for Arsenal, 7 changes from the League Cup final against Manchester City. The 4 players that started that game and begin here are the goalkeeper, Kepa Arrizabalaga, Ben White, Gabriel and Kai Havertz. Martin Ødegaard starts for the first time since January for Arsenal. 16-year-old Max Dowman is in the Gunners' starting 11. There's no Rice, Saka or Trossard in the Arsenal squad. And for Southampton, Jack Stevens is absent, their centre-half, and Flynn Downs suspended.
Chris, thank you. We'll be back with you. That's an 8 o'clock kick-off that at St Mary's between Southampton and Arsenal. John, sorry to cut you off in your prime. We'll be back with you now. We just wanted to hear the team news first, but just to unpick this now for a couple of minutes. Pat, I think the arc that we sort of most enjoyed sort of watching and listening to you guys describe through that match was Esteval, and as you very eloquently put in commentary, starting off finding it quite tough and then growing into the match in the second half, and obviously ending it with the goal that he scored in the way that he did.
Yeah, he started the first half with no confidence, didn't want to take players on, was getting bullied out of it, and looked as if he didn't fancy it a great deal. He could easily have been substituted at half-time. Pedro was outshining him. But I just thought to myself, he's got to keep with him. He's been injured, he's a young lad, he's coming back. He has got it. He has got whatever it is, he has it. So give him a chance to play himself back into it. So well done, Liam Rosenior, for leaving him on there. And also the Chelsea players were giving them the ball at every opportunity. And when the tiny gaps opened up, good players make good decisions when there's space. And boy, did he start making good decisions. Really, really good game in the second half, and just got better as every minute wore on. And that's the thing Chelsea need just now. I mean, they're not going to learn a great deal for this for the rest of the season, other than the fact that players who are injured need to get match fitness, and maybe him as much as anybody else in the team needs it. And by the end of the game, he was cruising by players and he was back to his very, very best self.
John, in terms of Port Vale, obviously the fans were magnificent, sort of cheering and making noise right until the end, but now obviously the stark reminder of where they find themselves in League One, 15 points adrift at the bottom, and it's about finding the positives from today, from this cup run, to try and build something towards the end of the season, because it's going to be really tough for them to get out of trouble.
Yeah, I think if you speak to most of these Vale fans, they'll say they're gone. They'll say that they won't be staying in League One this season. Of course, stranger things have happened, but they have had 2 decent cup runs. They've beaten Sunderland, a Premier League team, which they haven't done for years, 30 years. You know, they made a first FA Cup quarter-final in 72 years. Without that, the season really would have been miserable. We'll never know how much it took out of them, these FA Cup matches, mentally and physically, and the League Cup run they went on earlier in the season. But they've had a brilliant day, these Port Vale fans. You know, they never get days like this. You know, they very, very rarely have been able to come to grounds like this. They haven't been to Chelsea in almost 100 years, and they've had a great time. You know, and I think they've been brilliant in the away end. They've kept singing right the way to the end. They still haven't left. The players and the staff have just gone over and they've stayed and given them a warm round of applause. There's still fans in there swinging the Vale scarves above their heads. So, I mean, they'll have enjoyed this, and they'll know, I think, Maz, that it looks pretty hopeless in League One.
Pat, in terms of, you said it there already, it's very difficult for Liam Rosenior to know what he learns about his side from this match, one that they were so comfortable throughout, and obviously getting the goal so early as well. It was never in doubt, really. But what can he take from it? Because they were on that really poor run heading into it.
Well, we can take the nightmare scenario didn't happen, which was they had a dark day where they couldn't break down a stuffy defence and, you know, had to go to extra time or something like that. No, they didn't have any of that. They had a cruise today. And it's the oddest thing to say. They won 7-0. Were they absolutely sparklingly brilliant? No, they didn't. They weren't. They didn't need to be. They had to be clinical. They looked very good, you know, final third. João Pedro, particularly, as I said, Pedro Neto, very good in the first half. And certainly, as we say, Esteban grew into the game in the second half. But other than that, try and not get carried away. When the senior came in as the manager, he came in with the game against Charlton. I was there for that first game, and they went away from home, and then they had that little run. I can remember thinking, do not get carried away. You've got what is the easiest is a relative term, but this is cushy a kind of intro you'll ever get. There's going to be tough games ahead. Well, they'll struggle when the tough games come. So I think level-headed in the press conference, level-headed with the players as well, saying, right, nice little restart here. Let's bring that into the next games, because the importance of Chelsea having a good end and making sure that they get to the Champions League through the top five, that is at least as important as the FA Cup to this football club just now.
So when you look at their next two fixtures then, Pat, that leads me nicely into what I was going to ask you finally. Manchester City in 8 days' time, and then Manchester United before the FA Cup semi-final, and obviously the draws for that is tomorrow. We'll find out who they'll get. But those matches just feel absolutely enormous in terms of Chelsea season and getting that European football spot.
Yeah, and it's been a bad run in the league. Remember, people have parked this for a wee moment. And that previous game, that very, very bad beating up at Everton, where they played very poorly indeed. And there's no way around it, and the manager himself said that. Before that, home defeat against Newcastle, where again, questionable defending. If they don't win the next, or get something in the next couple of games, the questions will be asked again. And, you know, this 7-0 win will be completely and utterly forgotten. So, you know, that's what the Premier League's about. That's what about getting into Champions League should be about. You shouldn't be able to cruise into it. It should be a battle. And if you're not at your very, very best, you won't get there. But they're capable of doing it. And the biggest positive you can say for Chelsea, oddly enough, just now, is their biggest rivals for getting in that position are Liverpool. They're having a bit of a stinker at the moment as well. So, and by the way, that's not to ignore Brentford and Everton, who are coming up behind them as well. But for Chelsea, they know they're in battle. But on the other hand, they can say to you, we might win the FA Cup and we might get top five with Champions League football, which would be a brilliant season.